Okay, hey, this is pretty cool. I'm actually doing Facebook Live, but we're recording for the Small Biz Trends Conversation Series, and with me today is my buddy Mike Fauscette. Mike is the Chief Research Officer for G2 Crowd. Mike, thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Brent. I appreciate you inviting me.
So we're going to talk about the importance of review sites, the growing importance of review sites like G2 Crowd for particularly small businesses when they're starting to buy software applications, business applications. But before we jump in and do that, give us a little of your personal background.
Sure. Well, I've been here, actually, February 1 will be 2 years in this job in this role as Chief Research Officer. Before that, I was at IDC for 10 years, analyst firm, and I was responsible for the Enterprise Application Research Group. So it's a worldwide, coverage across most of the kind of standard software, different software types that we know, business software types that we know. And before that, I was in the industry. I was at Autodesk, did a few startups, and I was at PeopleSoft mid to late '90s. So big enterprise kind of experience there, and then of course, kind of all over the place since then.
Yeah, and then you made your way to G2 Crowd and the review sites, and they're really growing in importance in general for all businesses, but particularly small businesses. So maybe give us a little bit of background on G2 Crowd and like how many reviews you guys have now and how you're kind of fitting into helping these folks figure out what to
Sure.
buy.
Well, I mean, obviously, the idea of review site, business to business focus, so never any, business to consumer kind of coverage, and literally almost any business software category you could think of, and I don't even have the total number in front of me anymore because it's so many, but tens of thousands of products. And everything from, standard things like CRM and marketing automation all the way through vertical software like anything kennel management, funeral home management, almost anything you could think of. And the company was founded by some folks who originally did a company called Big Machines, which Oracle bought, and they were in the CPQ space. And when they left that and left Oracle, they were trying to think of something next to do, and they realized that crowdsourcing and review sites were starting to get grow in importance. Certainly in your personal life, they were already important, and so they decided that they would try to disrupt and go from a lot of the review sites that were around for B2B at that point were really more kind of almost in a Google business model. They were really about, paid placement and trying to get the vendor in front of the buyer, lead gen, that sort of thing. Not that that's bad, it's just that happened to be where they were, but they wanted to do a site that was more like adjacent to analyst firms that really focused around data collection. So our reviews are 36 or more questions, so it's really a survey, and could grow that into something that could really help buyers across the spectrum. And today we see about a third and a third, a third. So about a third's enterprise, a third's mid, and a third small. We, traffic, uniques a month, a million or so, and we by the end of this year, fiscal year, which is the end of January, we're somewhere around 1.5 million page, views, unique views a month, and more importantly, the reviews themselves. So when I started, I want to say we were at probably 60,000 reviews, so that was 2 years ago, and we'll finish January somewhere over 380,000 reviews.
Wow.
I haven't checked today, but we're 30 probably. We're doing 3,000 to 3,500 a day now,
Wow.
which is pretty crazy.
Yeah,
It's
so let
growing
me
quite a
ask
bit.
you. So where are these reviewers? Where are the reviews coming from? Are they particularly small business folks, large business folks, or are they focused on certain areas of software?
Well, they're really across the spectrum, and again, about 30%, 32% is enterprise. The rest of that's small to medium business, so they're users of the software. They get to us in different ways. Some just wander by and, find the site, and so we call that organic. Some we go out, we have outreach campaigns that we run all the time to try to get, because frankly, you're a business person and you use some software, the first thing you think of in the morning is, gee, I think I'm going to go review that. So we try to put that in front of you so you think about that. And then some of the vendors will try to, will come to us and have us help them run the campaigns, because obviously we have developed quite a bit of expertise in getting reviews. But they come from, users of the software. They could be anything from administrators all the way down to, just somebody using a Salesforce automation tool or marketing automation or whatever. And then again, across almost any category you could think of in the business-to-business software world.
So it's obvious what's driving folks to read the reviews and leverage those reviews for buying decisions. What's driving folks to actually leave the reviews?
Well, there's several different types. And again, organic is purely I stopped by and was, happy to leave a review, which we get. We offer incentives that are something like what you'd see from a market research firm for surveys. So, $5, $10, $15 gift cards for Starbucks or, whatever, it might be Amazon, whatever. So that's one way incented. We have a charity called G2 Gives, and for G2 Gives, if you buy and you leave a review, we'll donate an amount of money to whatever charity we happen to be sponsoring at the time. We're building houses right now, which is a really good one. But we were doing hurricane relief before that. Obviously, last year was terrible for hurricanes. So we try to pick a topic, a charity that is on top of mind and something that's fairly critical, and then we can help with that. So we get a lot of reviews that way. And then vendors ask, customers to review, so we get some from them as well.
So what are the kinds of applications that are really kind of the most trafficked? Is it CRM related? Is it sales? What are those applications, particularly from a small business perspective, that you see a lot of activity in?
So I think that if you think about it from especially small business, we see a lot of CRM all-in-one or CRM-ish. So it could be Salesforce automation or contact management or, across that sort of spectrum. Marketing, so for a small business, tends to be more email marketing, but certainly some do use more complex tools than that. Some use a full CRM and marketing, kind of all-in-one solution. So we get a lot of traffic there. Human resources, again, pretty common. So core HR and then out into benefits administration and that sort of thing. And then financials, especially in the small business, we get a lot of traffic to the accounting category, or even over into the ERP system category, because a lot of small businesses, medium-sized businesses, since the cloud really has become so prevalent, that they're moving up from kind of single, applications into suites of products like the enterprise would have done in the past, and so they look for the best fit. And one of the things they can do in every category on every page on the site that you look at, we have a way to compare the vendors. You can pick small business or medium business, and what that does is sort so that you only see the reviews from small business, or you only see the reviews that came from mid-sized business. So that way you're getting a better feel for what do the people like me, what do they think about this software, and how do they use it, and what business problems are they trying to solve.
So how has your review sites like G2 Crowd, how has that changed the buying process overall for a small business perspective?
Well, for small business particularly, I think, we're input across the spectrum. So, an enterprise might use us as an input, but for small business, and we have a service called the buyer advisor service, and so we see this firsthand quite a lot. That the small business come to the site, they maybe do a little bit of research on their own, and then they'll either do a chat or they'll ask a question in a forum, or they'll go through. We have this assistant that that is, automated. It walks you through asking questions about what do you need, what size business, how many users, what problem you're trying to solve, things like that. So we have several ways that they can use to then to find the suggestion, and more often than not in the small business, that's the short list. So they may come up with 3 vendors or 4 or whatever, and that's who they buy from, and we'll do introductions to those vendors for them if they're talking to or using the buying advisor, or leave a form, because we we do have relationships with a lot of those vendors, and if we don't, because we don't discriminate against a vendor that either pays us or doesn't. Any vendor that's on our site, if they're the best fit, we'll contact them and pass your information to them and have them, or at least try to get them to contact you. Sometimes, amazingly, businesses don't follow up, but most of the time they do. You think you wouldn't turn down a
nice lead, right?
opportunity, right? But sometimes. So that's mostly they're making that buying decision right there, and they may even get down to oh, that's the best fit. The thing that I've seen over the last several years is that the information sources you trust and how you get information and where you kind of approach buying. It started in your consumer world, and I know you and I would both say, well, when did I buy the last thing off Amazon, and did you read the reviews? Well, of course I read the reviews, and I mean, even I'm in Best Buy and I'm buying something, I'm reading the Amazon reviews because and so in business the same things happen. If I'm buying something, I'm reading reviews because it's important to understand what people who actually use it say, not what the marketing literature says. And then I do a lot of surveys, as you might imagine, just because market research fun. I did a survey last fall from buyers, and just trying to understand what buyers were looking for and what they trusted, what they didn't. And the most important, like from a trust perspective, they trusted peers, so people like them the most. But the second source was peer review sites. So product review websites, and then it tailed down from there. Professional organizations, social networks, and then nearer the bottom were vendor salespeople. And in fact, this is one of my favorite questions. We ask, when do you usually contact the vendor salesperson? And 64% of them said they contact the vendor salesperson when they've made a buying decision already.
It's basically you're an order taker at that point, right?
Yes, you are an order taker at that point. Because, we trust online information sources, and especially when you get a transparent site that, has validation, verification. On Amazon, you see that verified purchaser, then you think that review is important. Same for us. We verify and validate every review. We don't allow anybody to leave a review that we don't know who they are. So you have to log in with LinkedIn, and we validate that you could be using it, and we even get you to submit a screenshot of you using the software logged into the current version, so we know you actually did use it. So we try to make it as trustworthy and transparent as we can, because trust is, online trust is fragile, but it's really important.
Right, and I would assume there's a lot of power in reviews, and that power is growing. So there could be temptation for even vendors to try to figure out ways to force some positive reviews in there.
Yeah, well, and it's funny you say that, because we've I don't know what the total number is now, but the last time I checked, I'll say it's tens of thousands of reviews we've rejected for that reason, for that and other reasons. The person wasn't using the software. We could prove that they were employees. Things like that, and or they were bots. I mean, sometimes people try to use a bot to leave them too, or they were plagiarizing. There's a bunch of different things that we check, and it's important that we make sure that we can kind of maintain that transparency. And on the website, we explain all the algorithms and the way we collect data and all those things, because again, that's very important to keep that trust.
Can you tell, this is kind of like the last question, can you tell when for example, a technology like AI, there's so much talk in the general atmosphere about it, but can you start to see in reviews when it's actually starting to catch hold and take flight?
Yeah, Brent. That's one of the things, and we're putting up a trends microsite this week that'll go up, and AI is one of those trends, obviously, that we're watching very closely. What you see, and there's several different ways to think of the indicators. One of those is that we start to get a lot more traffic to that category, or if there's not a category, we start to get a lot of inquiries about things that relate to that new category that we need to create. That's one. The other end of it is the supplier end. We start to see a lot of vendors in that, small vendors pop up in that space. So it's not just, maybe a large Salesforce, Oracle, Microsoft, and getting into that, but it's a lot of little startups that are doing really specific things with it. I'm a machine learning platform. I do text to speech. I do. So we start to see all those kinds of specifics, and when we see that, then of course we start paying a lot more attention to the category, and you can see it really grow. We have a new index. We do a lot of comparisons using algorithms, and we have a new index called the Momentum Index that we're rolling out next month, and it is designed to do exactly what you just said. It's designed to look at a vendor and rank and rate their momentum in a market. So rather than satisfaction or market presence, which we have on the site now, and we have a bunch of index reports too. We can now look at them and say, hey, this company is now heated up. Their technology is really gaining momentum in the market. So that would help a buyer who was trying to, find something that had a big competitive advantage. That those products with high momentum that had increased quickly over a short period of time are getting a lot of interest and attention because they're seeing a lot of return from them.
So, Mike, where can people learn more about that report and some of the other things you have going on?
Yeah, so on the G2 Crowd, so it's g2crowd.com, of course. G2 Crowd website, the blog is the easiest way to get to a lot of the content I was talking about. So reports, blog posts. To get to this trends website, we have that, and we just went through and did comparisons in countries and cities around the world. So the best vendor in Seattle, the best vendor in Czechoslovakia, the best, and so we just put up a bunch of those lists, which are interesting. We have a top 100 vendors list going up next week. So we took reviews just from 2017, and we're going to rank a list of 100 vendors that are the exceptional vendors that we saw based on the reviews for last year. So we're doing that off of the blog, and then if you're just interested in buying software, you can go to the website and you can do research yourself there, or you can click on the chat or pick up the phone and talk to a buying advisor for free. We don't charge buyers anything, and and get some advice, get somebody to help talk you through what might solve your problem.
And I guess if you wanted to leave a review too, you could do that.
We love that. Yes, we always want the review. Certainly if you're using something and you want to leave a review, we welcome that. Always easy to go there, and good stuff.
Cool, Mike. Thanks again.
Yeah, thanks, Brent.